Hey guys, Crystal Brady here, your expert in all things real estate. In this video, I want to talk to buyers about how to prevail in a seller's market. So we've all heard the news that it's such a seller's market. There's crazy competition out there for buyers and lots of multiple offers. This is making a lot of buyers feel defeated, and I wanted to make this video hopefully to give buyers a little pick-me-up and give you some confidence when you're out there competing for properties against other buyers. All hope is not lost. Let me give you some tips that might help you prevail in this seller's market. I've had a lot of success with my buyers. I have to tell you that the first thing that I think is really critical is to not feel defeated by the process. A lot of buyers are starting to feel defeated and giving up before they even start, or passing on houses just because they know there's a lot of offers. Every house has a lot of offers right now. Get in there and compete for it, and persistence is key. Be prepared to lose some properties. Most of my buyers that have had success, it hasn't actually taken that long, but they have had to make maybe 5 or 6 offers before they land a house. So you have to have thick skin. You have to be persistent, and don't feel defeated before you start. Just understand the market, know what you're up against, and do your best to position yourself as well as possible to have success. So what are some of the things you can do if you're a buyer trying to compete right now? The first thing is get creative. Try to think of how you can make your offer a little more creative and stand out. We've heard all of the usual things, right? That, you need to offer over asking. You might want to use an escalation clause. You want to try to have a few as contingencies as possible. We know all of that, right? But what else can you do? Look at the situation and assess it. Closing dates and other terms can be really important to sellers. I'll give you an example of a way you can try to get creative that I recently used. I noticed a house that my buyer was trying to purchase was an estate sale. And I myself, having gone through an estate sale process where I had to sell a home, remembered how much work it was to try to clean that house out. And after all the relatives had taken the sentimental things out, it was a lot of work to get somebody to come in there and clear that house out before closing. And it was a big task and burden on the family. So my buyer offered to say to the seller, listen, we know it could be a burden, and if it stresses you out to have to move all this stuff out before the closing, we'll buy the house, and whatever you decide to leave there, we'll deal with it. Just to take that burden off the seller. Obviously, if our offer's even with somebody else and now we're making their life easier, that's going to give us an edge. So try to think outside the box, things like that you can do to be creative. So another big component right now that I think is very important for buyers in this market is compromise when necessary. A lot of buyers are still refusing to compromise. And we needed to make compromises before the market was how it is sometimes. So nothing's really changed there, but try to be flexible as a buyer. Think about how much money you're paying in rent every month, and that your mortgage is going to be a lot less than that, and you're investing in something. So maybe it's not the end-all be-all house, and you've got to buy one that's a little bit smaller than you thought. Still probably going to be bigger than that apartment that you're renting, right? So think about what compromises you can do that will help stretch your budget. If you can compromise on location, somewhere that might be a little more affordable, you might still get the house that you want. Or you might need to compromise on location, spend a little bit more on price. Most buyers are not spending the full amount they're approved for, which means you probably have room to go up. And I understand why buyers want to keep their monthly payment low. But again, your rent is probably going to be significantly higher. And if you can afford that, you can probably afford to go up a little bit on your approval and spend a little bit more on that house if it helps you have an edge or be able to get in there and compete with higher offers. So think about the different areas: price, location, and maybe even type of property. You might want a single family, but honestly, a townhome might be more affordable for you and a little less competitive in your market. So maybe that's a good first purchase. Turn it into an investment property later after you live there a few years, and then move yourself into something larger. So just think about that if you're a buyer, and try to be as flexible as possible. That will help increase your chances when you're out there competing. Another thing I would encourage people to do right now is put in backup offers. So in the past, I always kind of felt like backup offers were a waste of time. We're waiting for another contract essentially to fall through. And if it does and you have a backup contract, then your contract moves into first position. In this market, I have seen more buyers canceling contracts than ever. People are getting cold feet. They're regretting the decisions they made. people are making crazy offers and waiving all kinds of contingencies and adding crazy special terms, and then they go, oh my god, what did I do? And they cancel the contract sometimes right away within just a day or two before they even put their deposit down. This is the perfect time, if you're a backup offer, that you're going to jump right to the top right away. And if there were 30 offers on that house and nobody else executed a backup offer and you did, now you get that house when it falls through. Versus if you're just waiting to see if it falls through, then the other 29 people that lost out are also doing the same thing. And then you're going to have the same problem if you go to re-offer on that house a few days later when the last buyer bailed. So consider backup contracts. If you want to talk more about that, I'd love to speak with you about it. Last tip for you. Find a good lender. It's really important you have a lender that can be aggressive, can close quickly, is communicative. Get your lender to talk to the listing agent when you make offers. I have my lenders write letters or draft like an email that I'll include with the offer. They make themselves available by phone. And that's a good lender. If they will not let you call them on the weekends or you can't reach them pretty much any time, if you don't have their cell phone number, they probably aren't a good lender in this market, in my opinion. I don't want to offend anybody out there, but we really need somebody aggressive and responsive right now that's going to go to bat for us when we make an offer. So those are some of my best tips. I don't want you to feel defeated if you're out there trying to buy. I have to tell you, probably about 90% of my buyers have had success, and it hasn't really taken more than a couple of months at the most. So make sure you have a good backup plan and some living arrangements in case it takes a little time and you have to get in the trenches and compete on several different homes. But be persistent and think about how you can compromise. If you have any more questions, please reach out.